Well, hi guys, Lance here from the Rocky Mountain Life channel. Doing something a little bit different today, but something that's very important. I just pulled in here at A&M Moto Toys in Monument, Colorado. That is run by my good friends that I ride with from time to time. And I'm going to get me a new OHV permit for 2024. So that's what we're here for. Plus, they've got a new bike, a new electric bike that I think you guys might be interested in. I know I'm interested in seeing it. I think this one could be probably the strongest contender for something that I might get. But we're going to go in and check it out and ask some questions and see if we can learn more about it.
Yeah, I went through all the effort to program in our logo on our seat, so
Nice.
it doesn't look great, but we tried.
Hey, well, it's better than nothing. I'm legal. Well, let's take a look at this Arctic Leopard.
Cool.
But you are going to have, as part of your rental fleet, the Mantis.
Yep, we're gonna have two Mantises.
Two Mantises and a Ultra B.
Yep, and we're also looking at, we're probably gonna add the EXE880 in the soonest future after we do some reviews and
Sure.
content on it.
Sure, got to test it out.
Absolutely terrified to rent this.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would.
But it's a great looking bike. We haven't gotten quite all the parts and pieces. So Arctic Leopard right now is air freighting all of their stuff. So when people order, they get to the dealer or the customer in certain instances in about 2 weeks, which is a lot better than shipping by boat. Boat's about 2 to 3 months right now. So you get I call it build a bike. We essentially started from frame up on putting these together. We're learning with Arctic Leopard US on best practices for putting everything together. We're still waiting on a few pieces. Over on the shelf here, we have the absolutely ginormous 90 volt, 75 amp hour battery. So that is a 6.750 kilowatt battery. So kilowatt hour, I should say. It's basically a bigger battery than the Stark Vargs by a little bit. Range-wise, they claim you can get up to 110 miles if you're doing around 20 miles per hour. I would say realistic actual trail riding for most of us average people will probably be looking at right around 70 miles range.
Well, 70 miles range is more than enough because 50 miles on the trails in one day is a long day in the saddle, if you ask me. I don't think I ever really go over 30, 35 probably. I know I've done 717 out there by Divide, and that's 37. And I'm usually wore out at that point, ready to go home. So that was always my biggest complaint was that. And everybody always asks about horsepower, and it's kind of hard to equate horsepower with electric engines, but do you have a basic equivalent?
So they're 37 kilowatts. The energy output, they equate that to being about 51 horsepower.
Okay.
So the big difference is it's like 51 horsepower at the equivalent of about 200 foot-pounds of torque, depending on what phase and what your gear ratio is and a whole bunch of other things. But needless to say, the amount of torque that comes out of it's going to be monstrous. In fact, I'll probably be terrified of it. Even with like our Ultra Bs, like the torque that comes out of even 12 kilowatts can be a handful.
Yeah.
So this, being as powerful as it is, I would probably venture to say that I would rarely have ever run it near 37 kilowatts. I'd probably run right around 20. So the Arctic Leopard weighs 240 pounds with her battery in it.
Okay.
We'll do a weighed scale and make sure that that's accurate. But so that's what the spec is from the factory.
Do you know what the seat height is?
Seat height
Looks pretty tall. 37. Okay, that's the same as my Beta.
Yep.
So this is to me, this looks like a full-size dirt bike. Is it shorter by any chance, like the wheelbase or anything that you know off the top of your head?
Nope, I think it's pretty comparable. I mean, it could be within an inch or two of most other dirt bikes, like they all are from one another. But yeah, it's a full-size enduro chassis was what they were going for here.
Okay, 18-inch rear, 21-inch front.
Yep.
So all the usual tire sizes you're used to sticking on your dirt bikes.
Yep.
It's got nice-looking hubs on it.
Yeah, and then of course, the KKE wheels. No problems with those guys. KKE's been a good brand for us. The brakes are J1, which are actually Brembo, so they're Brembo's dirt line of brakes. So that's a really cool setup.
Got good foot pegs too.
Yeah, it came with
Nice
a lot
and
of pretty
wide.
good stuff. So for an $11,000 dirt bike, because these aren't cheap, it really does come with good components. But yeah, you're always, and you can get the EXE880, which I think for a lot of people would be the way to go. So you can get the EXE880, which has a softer, a little bit less aggressive suspension. You can spec it with the giant battery in it. And you pretty much, I think for the way that I personally ride enduro, I'm going to more than likely like that suspension better. So that one's $9,400. Now you get a little less power. Off the top of my head, I want to say that its max power is 25 or 27 kilowatts, which is still more than enough for anything that I'd ever be doing. Another thing too on this one, the 880, its top speed I think is just shy of 90 miles an hour. So I couldn't imagine doing that, but that's kind of nutty. I think all of my dirt bikes probably gear out right around 70. So another cool thing that we have spec'd on these, we've ordered all of our 880s with the electronic clutch. So you'll see this handle here looks a little different. There's no cable that comes out of it except for the electronics. So you can configure this handle to do a couple of different things. It can work the electronic clutch in there, so you can slip and dump like you would a normal bike. Or you can set it to basically control the regen braking for the rear wheel. A motor with these capabilities can basically lock the wheel at any time with regen. So you can essentially just replace it with a full-time brake. It's probably how I'm going to use it. I think people get really wrapped up in the whole, electrics need to have a clutch thing. If you've never ridden an electric, you can pop the front wheel at any time, at any RPM. You don't really need, you don't need a clutch.
Yeah, I mean, I rode that Talaria Sting that you guys had for a while, and that had the upgraded battery in it. But that still wasn't anywhere near what this is going to put out stock.
Yeah.
And I, at 210 pounds, was not having any trouble lifting that front wheel, and I was running it in Eco 3.
Yeah.
Or Eco 9.
Yeah. So that was about 8,000 watts, probably about thereabouts.
Yeah. So on that ride that we did, I didn't feel like I was missing a clutch.
Yeah, you don't once you get used to them, and it's kind of the thing. Although I like the features there, I like the
if you want to set it up that way.
Yeah.
Does this plug into something, or is this just an antenna?
So this will plug into this controller box here. So we're waiting for the rest of the components to. There's 2 trays that'll go in to mount the battery, as well as this module here.
Places to store it.
This will have the Bluetooth and everything in it. So everything can go through an app where you can set up your power. You can set up a different throttle curve. Your either e-clutch or e-brake. So there's a lot of things that you can all configure at the same time. You can even control how fast the bike charges. The bike can charge up to 1,500 watts on 120. It can charge faster if you get the 240 charger. Fun fact, the charger that it comes with is capable of 240 and doing a little over 2,000 watts charging. You just have to have the right plug.
Right.
But so there's a lot of ways that you can charge the bike, but the cool thing is if you're running off of a low power generator or something like that, you can set it to only charge at 500, 600, 700 watts, that kind of a thing. So
that's the same sort of technology that most electric cars have got in them, where you can set up your charging rates to match what you've got in your garage or whatever.
And that's pretty important because, you never know when you're going to want to kind of mess it around. Some people will be like, oh, well, why do you have an electric bike if you're going to charge it off of gas? I'm not one of those people that's like a EV purist or anything or save the planet. These are basically a 2-wheeled vehicle with a motor. I don't really care if it's electric or gas. They're a lot of fun, and the experience is so different when you ride these. It's just a different way to have fun on 2 wheels. And, if I have to spend 2 gallons of gas to charge the battery, I could care less because I would have spent 2 gallons of gas riding a gas bike anyway.
Yep.
So that's kind of how I look at it. But like I said, I kind of take the political side of the electric stuff out. They're just a lot of fun. And they're new. I like electrics because they're not intimidating to people that have never been on dirt bikes. A lot of people get really sketched out with how to learn a clutch and gas and, 2 strokes, mixing gas, all that kind of thing.
Yep.
And it sounds dumb to a lot of us that are riders, but hey, if we get more people out into the sport, it kind of helps everybody out, in my opinion.
Well, I like the riding experience of the electric bikes. I love that instant torque. It's just a different sort of feel. And of course, this is the 880, so this is the top of the food chain of the EXE. So this one's the tallest and the heaviest. But when you get into the other things like your Raw Mantises and your EXE800 and you get down into your EXE700.
Yeah, so the next size down from this is what they call the Snow Leopard. So this one's called the Cheetah, technically. And so the Snow Leopard is like an Ultra B size, so 180 pounds. So you would imagine something like a Beta X Trainer size, a little bit smaller, but they come with 2118 wheels, weighs 180 pounds. So that size is my personal preference. Now that we've been riding a lot of the electrics, cool thing about them is they're super quiet. So if you're going to go, let's just say, do social trails and stuff, people can't hear you. The other thing is that super lightweight, when you're in really gnarly stuff, it's a huge advantage in these heavier bikes.
Yeah, that's what I really liked about it, was how light it is. It just makes it easy to maneuver, easy to flick around, easy to pick up if you tip over. And you just twist the throttle and go. And it was just so fun and a great way to introduce new people to the sport, like your wife or girlfriend or daughter or son, that's younger. Get something that's got a little less intimidating seat height and weight, and tone your power down to what suits them, and then they can grow into it later.
Yeah, the other thing too is, like, we had took out, what was your nephew, I think? Yeah.
Yep.
So he had never been on a bike before aside from bicycles, and took an electric out, and we did over 20 miles.
We did over 20 miles. Yeah.
So we didn't do anything hard, but I mean, you're talking about a brand new rider. Most of the time when you take them out, you're just in the parking lot for the first time. You know?
Yeah.
So being able to actually go out into the forest and ride even something easy for 20 miles is kind of a huge feat for building people's confidences in riding. So,
well, it's just less complicated for a new rider. They don't have to worry about changing gears. They don't have to worry about managing your revs with your clutch so you don't stall it or whatever else. And it's just a matter of balance and brake and throttle control. Well, it looks like these Arctic Leopards come fairly well equipped for what you get. You've got looks like an LED headlight. Mm-hmm. I don't see a tail light on it.
Nope. So these are not street legal yet.
Well, the whole electric thing really hasn't been street legal in the States yet anyway. So I suspect that'll change at some point, but, we'll just have to see. And it looks like, with the J1 brakes, that they're actual dirt bike brakes. They're not mountain bike brakes.
Mm-hmm.
So that was some of the complaints on some of the early e-bikes, is mountain bikes with an electric motor put on it.
Yeah, this is not that for sure.
No, it even comes with a skid plate, I can see.
Yep, not a super thick one. That was one of our comments to them, that they need to invest in either aftermarket or even come in stock with either thicker or whatever. So the controller sits on the bottom. So my biggest concern is we do a lot of boulder type field stuff.
Yep, a lot of rocks in Colorado.
They did that for efficiency's sake. Having a lot shorter cables to the motor means a lot less losses. So,
sure. It's also got a rear brake pedal.
Yes, it does.
Did you have to order that separately? Does that come with
that? That comes with the E-Clutch package. So
okay.
The E-Clutch is extra $200 on top of the retail price. So that allows you to have the foot brake, which, funny enough, is actually a requirement for DOT down the road.
Okay.
So if it gets to that point.
Yeah, if it gets to where it ever gets to be road legal, yeah. We're not saying it is, guys. It's just seeing the writing on the wall. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to wish it was.
Yeah. She's a little naked now, and hopefully we can get you back in here and hopefully trying it out once you...
Well, once you guys get it out on the trails, I hope to tag along and take a peek at it.
Hey, look, it's Bigger Extreme.
It's the M from A&M Moto Toys.
Yeah.
How's it going?
So another fun fact about the Arctic Leopard 2 is that the battery is not considered hot swappable necessarily. But it is a lot easier to take out than the Stark Varg, for example. Because the Stark Varg is like all one unit with everything together. So this battery, you can take it out in about 10 minutes or so. A few bolts that come out of it. If you wanted to have a second battery, which for the record, that battery is probably almost $5,000 to buy.
Yeah.
So if you had the money and you wanted a second battery, you could sure do it, but...
I think I think about what this bike is designed to do, and it's designed to be a trail bike.
Yep.
Right? Well, like we said earlier, 40 miles of trail riding in one day is a pretty long day. And to get 60 to 70 miles out of the stock battery, for me, for my usage, I wouldn't need a second battery, and I wouldn't need a hot swap. I would take it home and plug it in when I got ready to ride it the next time.
Sure is. And I think another thing that people don't think about either is that maintenance. Now, I won't say that these bikes are zero maintenance. You have forks, you have a shock, you've got oil in the reduction gearbox. But beyond that, you have so few moving parts on these bikes that you're not going to be doing top ends, obviously. So,
right.
It only holds 60 milliliters of oil, so doing an oil change is like 3.5 minutes or less. So there's a lot.
There's no air filter to clean every time.
No air filters. So that goes a long ways for a lot of people that, maybe you're a weekend warrior and you only ride every so often and the bike sits for long periods of time. These are going to be really good for those people because you don't have to worry about it, so long as you keep the battery right around 50%, you'll be fine for years and years.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for your time. And it's going to be exciting. This has been probably the first main e-bike that I have seen that has got me excited. And because I'm a bigger guy, so I need something that's a little bit beefier. I always worry about getting on something kind of like, like that Ultra Bee over there that's got skinny little tires on it. I'm like, is that going to stand up underneath my bulk, bouncing over all these rocks that we got here in Colorado? But this one is custom built for the job. So this has definitely got my interest peaked, and I'll bring more information to you guys as it becomes available, and keep you updated as much as we can. And we'll talk to Mark and Aaron more about these e-bikes as things develop, because it's a rapidly changing industry. Anyways, guys, thanks for coming along, and I will catch you next time.